At EWC 26, a $75 million prize pool pushed teams to train harder and invest more in talent. Developers adjusted game balance to keep players engaged. Unlike smaller tournaments, the stakes here weren't just about winning. They were about shaping how esports grows globally. In traditional esports, solo players could climb ranks on skill alone. But EWC 26 changed that. Clubs now dominate like soccer teams, sharing prize pools and sponsorships. Winning isn't just about individual talent. It's about team culture, shared goals, communication strategies, and teamwork. Teams invest in training facilities, coaching, and player welfare to push for the $75 million prize. Esports is no longer fringe. It's a global phenomenon. At EWC 26, the $75 million prize pool pushed esports into professionalism. Teams trained with structured routines like tactical simulations and physical conditioning to sharpen skills. Global scouting for talent and deals with brands like Red Bull turned tournaments into high-stakes industries. Every move, from player selection to strategy, could win millions or leave teams empty-handed. At EWC 26, the $75 million prize pool transformed esports into a global industry. Teams competed like professional sports clubs with sponsorships, scouting, and high-tech training. Prize splits involved team shares, player bonuses, and sponsor cuts, reflecting the financial stakes of modern esports. Paris wasn't just the host city for EWC 26. It was a masterstroke in logistics and perception. The choice of the French capital brought global exposure, with major time zones aligning to maximize viewership. Local support from French esports bodies ensured seamless operations, while the iconic setting added prestige. But it also pushed teams to adapt. Travel fatigue, cultural adjustments, and the sheer scale of managing a $75 million prize pool became real challenges. Paris wasn't just a stage. It was a test of how far esports had come from basement tournaments to world-class infrastructure. At the Esports World Cup 2026 in Paris, teams didn't just compete for glory. They battled for a prize pool so massive, it reshaped an entire industry. No longer just players, they became clubs with military-grade training, global scouting, and sponsorship deals that blurred the line between gaming and sports. This wasn't luck or skill alone. It was strategy, discipline, and a race against time to dominate before the next big tournament. The stakes weren't just about winning. They were about proving esports could stand toe-to-toe with traditional sports in scale, prestige, and financial power. At EWC 26, the prize pool wasn't just a number. It was a seismic shift. Teams weren't competing for glory alone. They were racing to prove esports could stand alongside traditional sports in scale and financial power. But it wasn't just about the teams. Fans worldwide tuned in, breaking viewership records with live streams that drew millions. Social media exploded with hype, turning players into global stars overnight. This wasn't just a tournament, it was a cultural moment, where gaming became entertainment on a massive scale. At EWC 26, sponsorships weren't just logos on jerseys. They were the lifeblood of competitive gaming. Brands like Red Bull or Tencent didn't just throw money at the event. They embedded themselves into the culture. Imagine a team sponsor funding not only their travel and gear, but also their mental training, just like in traditional sports. This blurred the line between advertising and genuine partnership, turning players into global ambassadors overnight. But it wasn't always smooth. Some brands overstepped, alienating fans with aggressive marketing, while others nailed it, like when Tencent's integration felt organic, almost invisible, making fans forget they were being sold to it all. Behind the scenes of EWC 26, Paris transformed into an esports battleground. From military-grade server setups to 24/7 security, this wasn't just a tournament. It was a month-long operation requiring coordination like no other event in gaming history. Teams trained with sports-level discipline, while sponsors and brands treated players as global ambassadors. The prize pool wasn't just money. It was a statement that esports could rival traditional sports in scale and prestige. But this level of organization came with challenges balancing fan hype, brand partnerships, and the sheer logistics of keeping millions engaged across continents. At EWC 26, Counter-Strike 2 wasn't just a game, it was the backbone of an industry moment. While other esports titles like League of Legends or Valorant have their cult followings, CS2 dominated with a prize pool that dwarfed competitors. Why? Because it's not just about skill. It's about strategy, teamwork, and pressure cooker moments that mirror real-world sports. Teams trained like athletes, studying opponents' playstyles the way NBA teams scout rivals. This wasn't luck, it was precision under pressure. Broadcast to millions who tuned in for the high-stakes drama of a 5v5 showdown where one wrong move could cost 100K plus in seconds. This was the moment that changed everything. A final match in Counter-Strike 2, where every second felt like a heartbeat, every shot a gamble for $75 million. Teams like FaZe and G2 Clutch entered as legends but left with a legacy. The stage wasn't just wood and lights, it was the culmination of years of grinding, sponsorships that turned players into global icons, and a prize pool big enough to rival traditional sports. Behind the scenes, Paris buzzed with military-grade servers, 24/7 security, and brands like Red Bull blending seamlessly with the action. This wasn't just a tournament. It was esports proving it belonged in history books alongside Olympics or FIFA. And now, as we look ahead, hit subscribe to see how these players and this event redefine gaming forever. At EWC 26, Counter-Strike 2 wasn't just a game. It was the battleground where esports proved it could rival traditional sports. Teams like FaZe and G2 Clutch trained with military precision, studying opponents like NBA scouts analyze rivals. The prize pool of $75 million wasn't just money. It was a statement that esports had arrived, blending high-stakes strategy, global brands, and the adrenaline of live competition. This event didn't just crown champions. It set the blueprint for what's next in gaming. At EWC 26, Counter-Strike 2 wasn't just a game. It was the stage where esports proved it could rival traditional sports. Teams like FaZe and G2 Clutch trained with military precision, analyzing opponents' playstyles like NBA scouts. While the $75 million prize pool blurred the line between gaming and high-stakes competition, the event wasn't just about skill or teamwork. It was about strategy under pressure, where one wrong move could cost millions in seconds. This wasn't luck. It was precision, broadcast to millions who tuned in for the adrenaline of a 5v5 showdown. The stage wasn't just wood and lights. It was the culmination of years of grinding, sponsorships turning players into global icons, and a prize pool big enough to challenge traditional sports. This event didn't just crown champions. It set the blueprint for what's next in gaming. This was the moment esports stopped being a niche and started being inevitable. A $75 million prize pool, military-grade infrastructure in Paris, and teams like FaZe and G2 Clutch treating every match like a high-stakes chess game. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about proving that competitive gaming could rival traditional sports in scale, strategy, and spectacle. Behind the scenes, 24/7 security, global brands, and players training with precision set the stage for what's next. Bigger prize pools, more regions, and a future where esports isn't just an alternative, it's the mainstream. Hit subscribe.